Everybody, we are answering your One Health question today about waking up at 3 a.m. with heart racing every single night. Who else is having that happen? This is a great question submitted by you guys. We got over 150 responses to my One Thing Health questionnaire. Thank you for filling it out. Asking you, what is the biggest question you have about your health right now? What can I help you with? So this was one question we got. I don't know who submitted it. It's anonymous. She said, waking up every night at 3 a.m. exclamation point with heart racing. So who else is having a problem waking up in the middle of the night? Anybody? In perimenopause, menopause, this can be a very common symptom. I went through this phase and then I bypassed it, right? I would be waking up. I remember looking at the alarm clock. I would open my eyes and I would look out, peep at the drapes to see if I could see the sun coming in through the side. I'm like, okay, well, it's not morning time. So I woke up in the middle of the night again. And then I would look at the clock because I think, how many hours do I get to sleep now? Because I used to have to get up at 6 to be at the OR and get the kids off to school. And woe is me when I would look at it, would be 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'd think, oh my gosh, how long am I going to be awake? Because for me at that point in my life, I would be awake for a while. It wasn't like I would go pee and then go back to sleep. Maybe some of you can, that's awesome. But back then it wasn't happening. So then I think, oh Lord, I'm gonna have to do surgery. And by the time I get back to sleep, I may as well be up. Sometimes I would just get up. Who else has done that, right? Just be up from 3 o'clock in the morning. So nighttime awakening. So I wanna dive into this because it's a great question. So first I want to talk about, how do we regular doctors treat this, right? I practiced regular OBGYN for over a decade. You guys all have one in your life. Everybody should have a GYN because you need your pap smears and your smash and flash on your boobies. You need all the GYN things, right? So you got to have a gynecologist. But what do they do when you tell them, I'm waking up at 3 a.m. with my heart racing every morning? Anybody tell me? I see Messy, Authentic, Diva Organic, Crime Rose, Avni Wanderlust, Zayad Blue. Hey guys, good to see you. I see some eyeballs over here on Facebook and YouTube, but I don't see any names. So post me a comment. So what do we regular doctors do? Well, we might ask you if you're drinking caffeine late in the day that's keep waking you up. We might ask you, how late in the evening do you drink liquids, because you need to cut that off a few hours before you go to bed. Maybe you're waking up to pee. We might ask you things about, how comfortable your mattress is. I mean, these are all the things that we used to ask, and that my doctor asked me when I was waking up at 3 in the morning with heart racing and all kinds of craziness and tired. And then after all of that, they might say, okay, we'll try some Benadryl or some Tylenol PM or some melatonin. Or if it was really bad, my doctor at one point gave me some Ambien. Anybody else given that? Or trazodone, or some of these benzodiazepines. That was a common thing. But there's really not any alarm, right? Your doctor doesn't go, oh my gosh, you're waking up at 3 a.m. every morning with your heart racing. That's concerning. We need to look into that, right? I bet none of you have said that to your doctor and your doctor actually was overly like, wow, we need to look into that. That's an indication something's wrong. So let me be the first doctor to give you that honor of, that's not normal. Something's wrong. We need to look into that. So you need to look into it. Sleep is a multifactorial activity. There are many factors that go into falling asleep, staying asleep, having good, deep brainwave state when you're sleeping, restorative brainwaves, having REM sleep, feeling rested when you wake up, staying asleep, all those things. Very complicated process, right? It's not something you can will to happen. You can't go, okay, go to sleep. No, you have to allow it, and your body has to be in a certain state of balance with its nervous system and its hormones and your toxicity level in order to allow the brain centers to put your consciousness in an altered state called sleep. And that's very normal and natural when you are balanced. But when you're not, it's what will happen is you can wake up or you can't fall asleep. And the heart racing is very telling. So the first thing is you've got to test your hormones, your 7 main metabolic drivers, which I'm talking about tonight in my masterclass. Right. So I'm talking tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you want to sign up, you can go to the link tree at the top of the page where you're watching and select the masterclass, or go to my website, KieranDunstonMD.com, and sign up for my email list, and you'll get an invite. And I'm teaching women, like, what's wrong with my hormones? Why can't I sleep? Why can't I lose weight? Why do I have no energy? What do I need to do about it over 40? So I'm going to tell you. So we'll talk about the 7 main master hormones regulators. So you got to balance those. You also have to have low toxicity because your body does a lot of special detox at night. I know you clean during the day, but your body is kind of like the school where maybe your kids go. They don't clean it during the day because that's when the kids are there. So what happens at night? The janitor comes in and cleans it. Well, your body goes through a lot of detox at night. So if you are particularly toxic, that can cause you to have difficulty falling asleep or cause you to wake up, particularly with heart racing. So the one question I would love to ask whoever submitted this question is, do you drink alcohol in the evening or before you go to bed? So maybe you are one of the many women, if you're watching, and let me know by a sign of hands. Hey, Diva Organic, Deanna, good to see you. So we fall into this trap at midlife, a lot of us, of the midlife bookends. We have coffee in the morning to jack us up and get us going. It's like jumper cables on our adrenal glands, boom, energy. And then to wind down at night, we have wine. Is that anyone here? Where are my coffee wine peeps? My coffee in the morning, wine in the evening. That was me over 10 years ago. That's how I did life. Coffee to get me going so I could do all my stuff during the day, and then wine to wind it down. So I would ask her, do you drink wine in the evenings or before you go to bed? I used to have this friend, and she used to take her Ambien at night with a glass of wine. That is so bad for your sleep, right? That's going to tank your brain waves and make your quality of sleep terrible. So you may as well not have slept. So don't do that if that's you. Okay, so why would I ask her about alcohol? Does anybody know what alcohol does to you? Well, it's a toxin, first off, right? So a toxin, definition of a toxin is if you take enough of it, it'll kill you, and alcohol qualifies. So it is a toxin. So your body has to go to work detoxing that shit right after you drink it. You're enjoying your buzz. Oh, I had some wine. I feel good. I'm relaxed. And your body's like, OMG, we got to get this stuff out because it's making us sick. So your liver is the organ of detox. So the reason why I would ask her that is because in Chinese medicine, the hours on the clock correspond to organs in the body, and liver time is 1 to 3 a.m. So if you are someone who's waking up at 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. pretty regularly, or between those times, most likely you have a liver problem. Now, I know when I tell people this, they want to go running to their doctor and go, do I have a liver problem? Can you check blood work? But what I want you to understand is in Chinese medicine, we're talking about subtle energies, energetic congestion. This is not anything that a Western doctor is going to draw your blood and go, oh my gosh, your liver enzymes are really high. Although they might, if you're a really regular drinker and you drink a significant amount, you might have elevated liver enzymes. But by the time your liver enzymes are elevated on a blood test, you have to have damaged over half of your liver cells, right? So these enzymes are kept inside the cell by the cell membrane, and they only show up in your blood when the cell membrane gets damaged and the cell membrane opens and leaks those enzymes out and they get into your blood. So if you are someone who's your doctor has told you your liver enzymes are elevated, that is a huge red flag and you need to do something right away. But for most of you who don't have that, what I'm talking about is liver dysfunction that is at a sub level where it's not going to show up on a blood test. And see, this is where we want to catch disease, right? If you're waiting until your blood tests are all out of wonk, girls, you have let the horse out of the barn and he's a mile down the road already with your health. And trying to get that horse back in the barn and get that horse under control can sometimes be impossible when he's out of the barn. Anybody deal with horses here? I used to ride horses. So just so you know, horses are extremely independent, very strong, very powerful. They have a mind of their own. It is challenging to control them unless you know how to finesse it. So it's the same with your health. If you think that you're waiting till your Western doctor is going to tell you that your blood test is out of whack to do something about your health, and you get this sense of security that, oh, I had my annual, my blood works good, my doc told me I'm good, and you pat yourself on the back and you're like, I'm doing great with my health, you're missing the whole point. And I'm glad you're here, because there's a huge difference between your blood work is normal and you're as healthy as you can be, and you're not at risk for cancer and autoimmune disease and all the things that we get. So back to the liver enzymes, don't wait for your liver enzymes to be high on a blood test. So in Chinese medicine, 1 to 3 a.m. is liver time, and your liver is the organ of detoxification. We talked about alcohol is a toxin. Your liver has to detoxify alcohol. And when you drink alcohol, your liver has to get on the job right away and start detoxing it. Not to mention that we ladies between 40 and 60 already have usually challenges to our liver from our sex hormone imbalances that we are programmed to start having. So not only does your liver detox alcohol, but it detoxes your sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, right? We start having imbalances with those hormones, most of us in our 30s, by the time we're 35, if not definitely 40, and then all through our 40s until we hit menopause at around 51. Well, guess what? That puts a strain on your liver. Your liver has to handle the imbalances in these hormones. So here we come. We already have our liver having a little bit of a strain. And that can be enough to get people waking up between 1 and 3 a.m. But when we dump alcohol on top of that, your liver's like, OMG, are you kidding me? Does she not understand what I'm dealing with here? That's what your liver's saying. I know you can't hear it, but that's why I'm translating for you, because I speak hormone. So that's my job, is to teach you how to speak hormone. So when you wake up and you see the clock, 3 o'clock, your heart's racing, 3 a.m., you're not confused. You're not like, oh my gosh, what's happening to me? Now, the next time it happens, you're going to go, oh my gosh, it's my liver. I had that glass of wine. My hormones are out of balance. Dr. Karen told me this is what would happen, right? So now you're going to speak hormone. So I'm translating, this is what your liver's saying. So this is why alcohol can be particularly challenging for us at midlife. Not that you can't ever have it, but when you're trying to get healthy, give your liver a little helping hand by not drinking it. And then you can drink it once you get everything straightened out. And then the heart racing. Let's talk about that. So what makes your heart beat? Anybody? What sets your heart rate? Anyone? Thrive with Dr. Dre, Denise, LHDOW, Deanna, anybody? My peeps over here on YouTube, Facebook. What makes your heart rate your heart rate? Because in order to understand why your heart might be racing at 3 a.m. and what it means, and to understand and decipher, what we've got to do is we've got to understand in the first place, what sets up our heart rate? What is our heart rate an indicator of? Anybody? Where are my hormone speaking peeps? Where are my neurology, cardiology peeps? Okay, so your heart rate is not the same all the time like a metronome, right? Metronome is doom, very steady. When you breathe in, your heart rate actually gets a little faster. The beats get a little bit closer. And when you breathe out, they get a little farther apart. And that's something called normal sinus arrhythmia. So you breathe in, heartbeats a little closer together. You breathe out, heartbeats a little farther apart. Normal sinus arrhythmia. So what determines that is your autonomic nervous system. Yeah, let's see. We have a crasher here that I'm going to get rid of who's putting very not nice comments in Facebook. So we're going to get rid of that. A very disturbed person, apparently. Okay. So we your heart rate goes up and down. It's determined by your autonomic nervous system. So that's the part of your nervous system you don't think about, right? We live in the part that we think about. That's our conscious part of our nervous system. I want to pick this cup up. I want to go on Instagram Live, right? That's our conscious part. Well, we have an unconscious part, and that's the autonomic, or I like to call it automatic. You don't have to think about it. It digests your food. It focuses your lens in your eye so that you can look at things. It heals a cut if you have a cut. So it does everything you don't think about, including regulate your heart. And there are two branches. You've got the sympathetic, which is the one that raises your heart rate, and you've got the parasympathetic that brings it down. And so the sympathetic branch of your nervous system controls lots of things. So it increases your respiratory rate, your heart rate. It takes blood from your abdominal organs where it's digesting and nourishing your food and helping your immune system, and sends blood to the periphery in your arms and legs so you can run fast and be very strong. And then the parasympathetic, so I call the sympathetic the Buddha, right? Big, strong, fast. Me run fast, me lift heavy things, right? And the parasympathetic I call the Buddha. Buddha is focused internally, alming, meditating. Blood flows to the abdominal organs to nourish and digest the food and help the immune system, lowers heart rate, lowers respiratory rate. So these two branches work together. One to bring everything in a hyperdynamic state, one to bring it down in a hypodynamic state. And it's the interplay between these two that determines your heart rate and your respiratory rate and all kinds of things that we docs like to measure. So it's the interplay between these two. So when you breathe in, your sympathetic nervous system gets a little higher and the beats come faster. And you breathe out, sympathetic goes down, parasympathetic goes out, and then the beats come farther apart. So now that you guys are experts in what makes you have a heart rate in the first place, let's talk about waking up at 3 a.m. with your heart racing and what does that mean so that you can decipher what your body's telling you. Because this is not an uncommon thing. That shit used to happen to me all the time. And I used to wake up like heart beating. What's wrong with me? It's scary to wake up from a dead sleep and your heart's beating out of your chest. Does that happen to anyone else here? I mean, I talk to women all the time that it happens to. I'm just wondering if it happens to you guys too, because it's scary. So now you know what raises up your heart rate, right? Sympathetic nervous system, right? So that means your sympathetic nervous system is activated at 3 a.m. Should your sympathetic nervous system be activated at 3 a.m.? No. So part of going to sleep is your autonomic nervous system has to calm down, and you have to be in a parasympathetic dominant state. The Buddha takes over, right? And you go to sleep, you close your eyes, Buddha takes over. The Hulk, he goes to sleep, right? That has to happen for you to fall asleep. But all of a sudden at 3 a.m., the Hulk is awake, the Buddha's gone, your heart's beating out of your chest, and you're like, what's going on? So sympathetic nervous system has turned on in the middle of the night. What causes your sympathetic nervous system to turn on in the middle of the night? One of the things is what I just talked about, the liver. Chinese medicine, liver time is 1 to 3 a.m., right? So say you're a woman struggling at midlife, you got all kind of hormonal symptoms, and your doc's telling you we don't check women's hormones, or your hormones are normal, there's nothing wrong. That was what I was being told. So I know you're told this too, when that's not true. And you're struggling with your hormones and your liver is suffering. It's going to show up at 1 to 3 a.m. Or maybe that's you, or maybe you like to have a glass of wine every night with dinner, but your body's reached a certain level of toxicity where it just can't handle it. So your liver is having a problem at 1 to 3 a.m. What happens when your liver has a problem? It wakes up your stress response system when it's time. So liver's waiting, 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 p.m. Here comes 1 a.m. The liver's like, it's my turn. I'm having a problem. And it turns on the stress response system. And what is your stress response system? It's your sympathetic nervous system and your cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone, sympathetic nervous system. Think about it like the Hulk has 2 hands, right? One hand is sympathetic nervous system, the other is cortisol. And it jacks up your adrenals at 3 a.m. And what happens? Your heart starts beating out of your chest and you are wide awake. And you're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Now you understand what that means. So it won't be as scary. You'll just be like, oh, it's 3 a.m. My heart's beating like crazy. Okay, I know what this is because Dr. Kieran told me that's my sympathetic nervous system activated and my cortisol. And you'll know why. Now, 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. is long time in Chinese medicine. So if you, and people will tend to have it at the time. So that's why the 1 to 3 a.m. This was true for me. It would be like 1 a.m. every morning. Literally, I would get woken up and I'd look at the clock, 1:00 a.m. Right? So it can be that by the clock at 1 and 3. It tends to happen more right when the time is starting and they're all 2-hour intervals, or right when it's ending. But it can be in between too. And this is for your time zone. So 3 to 5 a.m. in Chinese medicine is lung time. So what do the lungs represent in Chinese medicine? Does anybody know? Where are my Eastern medicine peeps, my Chinese medicine peeps, my acupuncturist? Anybody here know? So 3 to 5 a.m. lung time. Lung has to do with grief in Chinese medicine. Oh, I forgot to mention, the liver has to do with the emotion of anger. So this is the other thing. I will often talk to women at midlife and they'll say, I am angry for no reason. Hey, Dr. Renee, good to see you. So they'll say, I'm angry for no reason, like in my daily life. I'm getting irritated with my spouse, my kids, my friends, for no reason. So that's another clue. If you're waking up 1 to 3 a.m., so we talked about the hormone problems, the liver, the heart racing, anger is a part of that. So 3 a.m. to 5 a.m., if you say, Dr. Kieran, I don't wake up 1 to 3 a.m., I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning, but my alarm's not supposed to go off till 6. That is lung time, and it has to do with grief. And sometimes people who have lung issues will have, like, if you have chronic asthma, chronic cough. So this was my mom. And maybe this is you. Let me know in the comments. I would love to know. My mom was one of these early morning awakeners, and with a cough, coughing. Now, I grew up in Manhattan, up the river from the World Trade Center where 9/11 happened. And she was there the whole time 9/11 happened. And for the 2 years that they were cleaning that stuff up, and there was all the debris in the air coming up the Hudson River right into her apartment. For 2 years, she was breathing this. So, the firefighters got lung damage, and she happened, hey, Amanda, yeah, amazing. She happened to get lung damage too from this. Everyone who lived in the city did. So she's one of these coughers. She still has it. But it also relates to the emotion of grief. And for a lot of us at midlife, this is a time to revisit all the crap that we haven't dealt with through our lives, because we've been raising kids and being moms and partners and workers, all the things, right? And if we haven't dealt with our grief, it can sometimes show up by waking us up. And what you'll now know is when you're waking up 3 to 5 a.m., particularly if you're someone who has asthma or chronic lung problems, COPD, coughing, is that maybe there's some grief that you need to look at energetically. But I love this question. Thank you for whoever submitted it. If you didn't submit your question, you still can. I think if you go to the link on wherever you're watching this live, one, you can join my masterclass that's happening tonight at 7 p.m., where I'm teaching women over 40. How do I balance my hormones? How do I do this, Dr. Kyrin? And what's wrong with me, particularly with my weight and my energy? So I'm going to be teaching you about that, the 7 main metabolic hormones. This has to do with sleep too, though, because it's when your hormones get out of balance that you can't sleep. So we'll be diving into that too. Rock the Silver says, I'll be there. Yay, I will see you there. And you can submit your questions. I'm going live every day answering your One Health questions that are most important. You can still submit your question. Let me just give you guys an idea what time I'm going to come tomorrow, 12:30. I'm trying to do it 12:30 every day when I don't have meetings already set up. So I'll be here 12:30. And then on Saturday, I have to go at 12 because I have something I have to do at 12:30. So it's generally going to be around that time. And then Sunday, I'm teaching a live class at noon. So I'll probably go either a little earlier, like 11:30, or a little later. But anyway, it will be posted on the site, like on Facebook. It puts a little placeholder. So thank you guys so much for joining me. This was super fun, and it was an amazing discussion. Okay, Amanda, hot flashes. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Thank you for that. Was super fun. I look forward to seeing those of you who are going to join me for the masterclass tonight. That should be fun too. You're so welcome, Amanda. And I will see you guys tomorrow. I love these questions. Wait, there was something else I was going to tell you, but then I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys for the questions. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for the amazing discussion. Thrive with Dr. Dre. Love the analogies, Hulk and Buddha. Yeah, you know, it's like trying to make it relatable. Otherwise, I'm talking about some esoteric stuff. So mind your Hulk and your Buddha today. Watch when you're getting in that sympathetic, your heart rate's up, you're anxious, I gotta go do. And also try to dial it down back into the Buddha in every moment. Your health will thank you. Thanks, guys.